Thank you for staying with us. Israeli security forces arrested a Palestinian minor overnight on suspicion of carrying out the stabbing murder of mother of 6, Daphna Meir, on Sunday in Otniel. I-24 News defense correspondent Shai Ben-Ari has the story.
A late-night raid in a West Bank Palestinian village. A number of IDF units, aided by agents of the Shin Bet Internal Security Service, make their way to a private house. Their target, the terrorist who murdered 39-year-old Daphna Meir in her home in the settlement of Otniel last Sunday, while 3 of her 6 children were also in the house. The force moves towards the private home, where they break down the door and enter, heading for a bedroom. There they find their target, who is taken from his bed. He is transferred later to Shin Bet interrogation. The suspect is 15-year-old Murad Adais. He was found in the village of Yatta near Hebron.
I don't believe it. I know my son. Even if he said that I did it, I wouldn't believe it. I don't believe that a young 15-year-old kid could do something like that.
Some believe the killing of Daphna Meir may have been the inspiration for a similar stabbing the morning after in the settlement of Tkoa, in which a pregnant Israeli woman was injured. The Israeli Prime Minister visited Otniel Tuesday and promised a harsh response.
We will fight our enemies and demolish the home of the terrorist and revoke the work permits, in addition to all the other actions that have and will be carried out by the IDF.
Palestinian workers were not allowed into Israeli settlements Tuesday throughout the West Bank. It is unclear if the ban will still stand on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas expressed, quote, concern over any drop of blood from any person in a speech made in Bethlehem, adding that resistance will continue through peaceful means.
There is humanity here and the desire for peace and coexistence on one side and boundless hatred on the other. This hatred has an address. This is incitement by the Palestinian Authority and other elements such as the Islamic movement and Hamas.
For now, it appears there is no end to the violence in Israel and the West Bank, which has been rampant for almost 4 months.
Yes, and we're staying with Israel. The Institute for National Security Studies is holding its annual conference in Tel Aviv. Yesterday, it was U.S. Ambassador Dan Shapiro that caused the stir by slamming Jerusalem's policies towards the Palestinians. Today, it was Prime Minister Netanyahu's political opponents that took aim. Joining me now to discuss is Tal Shalev, I-24 News diplomatic correspondent. She is live from the INSS conference. Tal, it was Netanyahu's foreign policy specifically that was criticized today, among other things.
Well, yes, as you said, Ayman, yesterday was the day that the U.S. ambassador to Israel slammed the Israeli government's policy in the West Bank. Today, Netanyahu's whole foreign and strategic policy was under fire, and we hear a common thread from all of the political speakers who speak at the conference today, talking about Netanyahu's inaction, lack of strategy, and lack of initiative. Of course, we can expect these kind of statements from leader of the opposition, Isaac Herzog, who attacked Netanyahu and said he has no practical solution for the latest wave of terror and violence, and Yair Lapid, the leader of the Center Yesh Atid opposition party, who said that Netanyahu's foreign policy failure is going to lead to the worst international situation Israel has had ever. But the more interesting opposition is the opposition from within. The morning opened with Naftali Bennett, the leader of the Jewish Home, a minister of in Netanyahu's own government, the Minister of Education, who basically gave a speech here totally blasting Netanyahu and his Defense Minister Ya'alon's foreign and strategic policy. Bennett says that Israel's biggest threat is not a diplomatic stalemate, but rather a conceptual stalemate. And he says that the lack of strategy regarding Israel's enemies is a big threat on Israel. That, of course, is not accepted very well in the Prime Minister's office, who slammed the remarks as childish and as a political stunt. But nevertheless, we could hear this from all of the speakers today. There is a common notion, a common critic from both sides of the political spectrum of Netanyahu's inaction or probably lack of foreign policy.
Well, Tal, you've been covering the conference for us for the past 2 days. Besides politics, what else generated a buzz today?
Well, of course, this conference touched upon a wide range of topics, a wide range of strategic, political, and diplomatic topics. But the timing of this conference, just days after the Iran deal reached implementation day, made the Iran deal one of the most discussed topics. And earlier today, the former chief U.S. negotiator to the Iran talks, Wendy Sherman, gave a staunch defense here of the Iran deal, repeating the very well-known talking points from the Obama administration, that the Iran deal is good for the world, but also good for Israel because it rolls back Iran's nuclear program, and it increases significantly the monitoring and verification regime. Wendy Sherman does vow that if Iran does resume to develop a nuclear weapon, all options are on the table. But in the more interesting or compelling part of her speech, Wendy Sherman touched upon the behind the scenes and the difficulties of handling the negotiations, specifically talking about the painful rift, in her words, with the Israeli leadership. Let's hear what she had to say.
For my part, I do believe, President Obama believes, Secretary Kerry believes, my colleagues in the P5+1 believe, that the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action prevents Iran from having a nuclear weapon, as I said, forever. And if they cheat, I repeat, the options the United States has, that we all have, remain completely available. Of that, I am sure. Neither President Barack Obama nor any future president of the United States will allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, period.